Alrighty, the experimental show where we take hot glass. I am Michelle. We've got Jacob in the house, and you are at the Glass Academy for our experimental show happening every Sunday here live on YouTube. Well, we were live, but you're not live. You're watching a replay. So here we were in the studio. If you watched last week's show, I was working on a bowl, and this week I'm going to be working on a mug. I am interested in trying some different color patterns, so we're going to try a little something different. A few weeks ago, I did a cup with reverse access. Now I'm going to do a mug. I don't want to spend a lot of time working on products that that are really big and take a lot of time. I want to do short and sweet products that allow me to make the piece quickly and easily so I can check out the color pattern, make adjustments, and then continue to expand my color palette. When you come to the Glass Academy for a class, because we do hands-on classes, you get to go on a tour of the studio. And when you do that tour, you're going to learn some different things. Like this spiral here. This is a small bit of green glass that I'm attaching to the core and wrapping it around. That's going to give me stripes. That's how you get stripes on the glass. What I'm going to do is actually change the axis of this piece, and those stripes are going to become a really cool pattern in the glass. So at the Glass Academy, when you come in, there's a gallery. Our building is 14,000 square feet. It's light and airy. There's plenty of room to move around. And in the summer, it's really nice because we have these open windows. We can have the breeze blowing through. Got some great lighting in there because of the skylights, and it's really a magical place to be in. So this piece has lots of elements to it that just take time to do. So I'm going to talk about a couple other things why I'm doing that. I was thinking about it. I wish I would have chosen colors that show up better on the screen. This is like a blood orange color and a green, like an olive green. And while they're really cool colors in general, and the piece looks pretty cool when it's done, it's not really a color that shows off on the screen. So I do apologize for that. You know, it's like, are we making the piece or are we making the video the piece of artwork that I'm doing? So today it's the piece of glass, and we're using this torch here to create the reverse access that we're going to work on. Now throughout this video, Heather's pretty good about fast forwarding some parts. So you're going to see these kind of like skips and wonder what just happened. Don't worry about it. We're showing you the key elements of what needs to be done. Did you guys catch Jake on his phone back there? That was a key element of the video. I'm just teasing. You know how it is with phones. It's like you got a minute, you're checking them, making sure everything's okay. All right, so now Jake's coming back and we're gonna continue to heat up that area. And by doing so, it's gonna make the glass soft in that one particular area. This is the same spot that we were working on a minute ago, so it's kind of already preheated. And what I'm gonna do is blow through the pipe, putting air down the pipe, and it has nowhere to go except where the glass is nice and hot. So for this particular piece, when I blow in it, it's gonna blow out that hole right there. And pop, it just happened. So now there's a little hole. I'm just gonna smooth it out, open it up a little bit more so we can attach the blowpipe next. The experimental show is pretty cool because we've never done some of these things. We've never done them together. I do think about that show Blown Away when they're working with an assistant that was given to them. You have to be a really good instructor or like mentor to tell them exactly what you need. You know, when you're telling them to bring a bit, you're saying, I need a bit about the size of my pinky, 2/3 off the pipe, extra hot. Or I need a bit the size of my thumb, kind of stiff, so that you can add whatever you're adding on. Clarity is the key when you're working with an assistant. So I think that Blown Away show is pretty good. They were telling me that they rotate assistants every challenge so that everyone gets all the different assistants. And it's got to be unnerving for the people that are helping too. They don't know the artist, and I'm sure they're nervous. But Jake and I have worked together quite a bit. I'm pretty laid back in terms of as things roll along. Sometimes Jake is not so laid back. He gets frustrated a little easily for some of the items that don't quite flow his way. But I have more experience with the glass, and what I've discovered is might not work perfect this time. You learn a couple things. There's always a next time. Try it again. And if it's really bad, you just scrap it. No need to struggle through anything. So the pipe is hot here. All I'm doing in this stage is pouring some water on the pipe to cool the glass that's on the pipe. So when I go in to reheat that potato looking thing at the end, that's what's gonna get nice and hot. I don't need the whole thing hot. I just need that potato shape hot. So a little water there cools that down. And the torch is really nice because the torch allows me to spot heat. I'm able to just heat the tip there, get it nice and hot because I need to close that hole or I won't be able to blow the glass up anymore. The other thing that I think might work for these experimental shows is if we draw out some clips and show you guys a couple drawings beforehand, it might help you understand what's happening. When we don't do these shows live, sometimes I can't quite tell if you're getting the full picture of everything happening because there's no comments, right? So when you are done with this show, if you could put a comment below, hey, this was really cool. I understood what you were doing. I'd love to see a drawing. Anything you think that would make the show better, we are open to hear about it. Okay, the other thing that's kind of fun is you see us talking. I can't remember what we were talking about in this stage at all. But what I'm doing is getting that potato-y shape pushed down. I need to gather some glass on top of it. This is too small to make the mug that I want, and I want to make it bigger. And for the sake of time, I go into the furnace while it's still nice and hot and gather some more glass on top of it, only to find out it was too hot. I couldn't strip the gather as much as I wanted, and then I just do that at the bench. So our tanks hold about 200 pounds of glass. What do I have here? Maybe a pound, 2 pounds. It's not super heavy, it's hollow. That extra glass there of clear on the bottom, I don't need that much, so I'm just gonna cut it off. And that glass can actually get recycled. So you're gonna see in a second, Jake's gonna hold it up and it's nothing wrong with it. It's just some clear glass. We can toss that into the furnace at the end of the night and remelt it. There it is, the clear glass. So I need to heat up the inside of this, and I'm gonna wipe off the table because if there's a speck of color in it and then you roll on the table, it's gonna pick that speck up. So in the glass shop, you're always wiping down things, always moving things around, always thinking one step ahead of where you need to be. Now in our classes, you would not make something like a mug, but we do offer a class called Happy Hour. And Happy Hour is super cool. I think of Happy Hour as you guys are the designer and we are the craftsmen. Traditionally in glass houses, there is always a craftsman and a designer. The designers are the ones that sit at the table, they draw the pieces out, they think about fashionable colors, shapes that are modern and trending, things that will make their company different from everyone else, but that the public would still want to buy. In America, most of the glass houses came later in the 60s, 70s, and we opened ours in the 90s. And what we did was started making glass that people would afford and could buy. So we are both craftsmen and designers. Some things we design are better than others. Some things we make, they're super fun to make, but the public doesn't want to buy them. So then we get stuck with a bunch of product that we don't know what to do with, but yet we've spent all the time making, developing, and it's not a hot seller. So it's really interesting to be a small business owner, making glass, trying to gauge what the public is interested in buying, but also what we feel like making at an affordable price. Now this mug here, because of the reverse access, this is not something I would want to sell on a regular basis, because the time to do this color pattern takes twice as long, 3 times as long as just a regular mug. There are other ways we can color the glass that make it beautiful, but don't take this long. So if I wanted to continue to make things on this reverse access, I would really give some thought to larger pieces like tabletop bowls or a vase, something that's pretty substantial and stands on its own as a piece of art versus being a functional mug. Now, each of the items we make, you make the bottom half first, and then you switch it around. When Jake turns it slowly, you can see some of the stripes in that piece. As the glass cools, you'll be able to see them better, but it's not until the product is completely done that you'll get the whole picture of what this looks like. We're putting a small dollop of glass here on the bottom. Just because it indented a little, it will make it a little more solid on the bottom. And I wanted a very clean mug. I didn't want a foot on it. I didn't want a fancy handle. I want you to notice the color pattern on this. So this is the glory hole. We'll go back to it quite often as we're working on the piece. And the next step is to transfer it to a punty rod so the top can be opened. At this point, I've done basically the work that I want to do on it with the color pattern, so it's easy for me to hand it off to Jake and let him finish that. Jake spends probably about 20 hours a week blowing glass, maybe more, maybe less. But because he's blowing glass so often, he has a much better sense of timing and movement and everything you need to know as a craftsman. So I am happy to pass that off to him. If you are new to the show, I want you to come back, see that little thing in the middle of the screen called The Gathering Point. Every Tuesday night on YouTube from 6 to 9 p.m., we do a show called The Gathering Point. And that show's actually live. That's where you can talk to us. We'll be talking to you, and we can tell you a little bit more about the product. The cool thing about The Gathering Point is that it's interactive, so you can ask us questions. What's going on? Why are you doing that? Why are you turning it? We can't do the speed up like we can on this video because it's live, but it's really cool to watch what we're making and ask questions during the show of things you might not understand. Now, again, because I am interested in making the color pattern and seeing what that does, I want that to be the focus. So we're going to put a handle on this mug, but it's just going to be a clear handle, nothing fancy about it, pretty basic. That way you are just focused on the color pattern inside. I'm talking about where the color is and letting Jake know of where I want the handle so that the strongest color pattern is on the opposite side of where I want to see the design. The handle is a separate piece of glass, so I'm coming over with that, doing some shaping and blowing it up. Now, I hold the pipe up in the air, and what that does is shoot the bubble all the way down to the bottom of the piece. So what that does is create even thickness on the sides of the handle, which is really cool. Because I want the handle to be a little thicker. You don't want it to be so thin that it doesn't, that it feels flimsy, that it doesn't hold the weight of the mug. And Jake's got it perfectly lined up. He knows where it's going. You could see him thinking about that. The handle is kind of a quick motion. Using a copper tube, he's able to bend it over and then smooth it out. So where your hand goes, it's nice and smooth. That's why we use a round pipe so you can see the pattern or the surface area is nice and round. The final step is to put our signature on it. Now our pieces, we don't sign them by hand. We use a special brass tool with the logo of our business, the Glass Academy. And what we do is we push that little piece of glass in with this bronze tool, and now our signature is right on the mug. No need to sign it, and the mug is done. However, it does need to cool off, so as you will see from some of our other shows, it will go in an oven to cool overnight. So Heather asked me to be happy. There it is, the finished piece. I'm ecstatic about it, and away it's gonna go into this cooling oven. Okay, we just got done making the mug, pretty happy with it, and here's the finished product. Jake's hands, it looks like it's perfect size for Jake. I'm really happy with the design, how you can look through the one side and see the other side, the color patterns deeper. The colors, again, that was like an olive green and an orange, they kind of react, and they're creating some dark stripes on there, which are kind of interesting. In the sunlight, it's in person, it's amazing to look through in the sunlight. A little hard to read on the screen there, but you get the general idea. You see the signature, and having the piece in Jake's hand, phenomenal. He is like, it's the perfect size. Thanks everyone for watching the experimental show. We'll see you on the next one.